Good morning, my dear students. Welcome. Welcome to MGM Education's Raigada. And today I am going to tell you about one important concept, the Constitution of India, the features of Indian Constitution. As you know, after the Constituent Assembly formed and enacted 1946 and 1949, in the year 1950, our Constitution, Indian Constitution, came into force. Am I right? Now see, this concept, the features of Indian Constitution, is important for almost all categories of students, plus 2 students, degree students, right? And the students, those who are preparing for competitive examinations, OTET, OSTET, OPSC, UPSC, all need this. I am giving a brief account of this so that you can prepare the notes and can read it. Right? So, let us begin with the features. Number 1, Indian Constitution is the written Constitution and rigid Constitution. A written Constitution because it is a written document. You may ask me, sir, why it is made written? Means you know how longest is our Constitution. American Constitution is closing with only 7 articles. We have 395 articles. Think, 12 schedules. Right? And there is distribution of power between central and state government on our federalism. Union list 99 items, state list 66 items, concurrent list 54 items. How can we remember all these things? Confusion, conflict may arise at any time. So, our makers of Constitution written down everything, documented. So, our Constitution is number 1, written, and number 2, long one. Even it is 4 times more longer than the France Constitution. So that's why our Constitution is said to be the written Constitution and longest Constitution. Then there are fundamental rights, DPSPs, amendment acts, so many things are there. We cannot remember it, so we have written everything, so made it a written Constitution. Right? The second point is rigid and flexible. Our Constitution. Our Constitution is mixture of both. It is linking to amendment process. Amendment means change of law, change of old law into new. Here what happened? Some laws we have made a procedure to change them with only 1/4 of approval. But some laws are there which we cannot change without 2/3 majorities of members present in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So a little rigid. Some others are there which we cannot change at all unless we get 2/3 majority from Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha on one hand, and half of the Indian states assemblies must support it. So, more rigid. And some things are there, the basic structure of the Constitution, such as fundamental rights, DPSP, fundamental duties, which we cannot touch, cannot change at all. This is called the basic structure of the Constitution. So, by the way, we are both having the flexibility and rigidity together joined. So, it is called mixture of rigid and flexible Constitution. Right? Now, come to the third point. Parliamentary form of government. You see, on the basis of relationship between legislature and executive, okay, we have 2 sets of governments, presidential form of government and parliamentary form of government. India adopted parliamentary form of government under Government of India Act 1935. When the Britishers ruled us, we adopted British model. So we have the parliamentary form of government. Here what happens? It is also known as prime ministerial form of government. Here collective responsibility is the most important feature. So, because we adopted all the features of parliamentary setup, we have the parliamentary form of government under Government of India Act 1935. Over. Next we will go to the fourth point, fundamental rights. We have brought it from the Bill of Rights of American Constitution. We wanted to provide some rights to the citizens. They are called as fundamental rights because they are guaranteed by the Constitution and cannot easily change. Remember this. Well, which part of the Constitution deals with this? The answer is Part 3 of the Constitution. Article 12 to 35 of the Indian Constitution deals with the fundamental rights. How many fundamental rights are there? Originally there were 7 fundamental rights, but now right to property is taken out, 44th Amendment Act. Then it became a legal right. Now we have only six fundamental rights. So, right? Right to equality, right to freedom, and right against exploitation. Okay? Then comes your right to freedom of religion, then cultural and educational right, number 5. Number 6 is constitutional remedy. In this way we have 6 fundamental rights, right? As we are democratic government, we have these fundamental rights granted by our Constitution to the citizens, and these are all justiciable, in the sense that if any individual citizen is deprived of his right, he can move to the court of law. Court will give the justice. Okay? In any other class we will discuss elaborately about fundamental right, but here in features you have to write this much on. Coming up next, directive principles of state policy. Right? In the directive principles of state policies, these are some of the principles given to the state to perform its duty towards its citizens. Yeah, there are around 23 principles. They are divided into 3: social principles, Gandhian principles, and liberal principles. Now you may ask me, sir, what is the main objective of this DPSP that was attached to our Constitution? Yeah, it is there. The main objective is to make India a welfare state and to provide people social justice. This is the big point. Social justice. Yeah. So, these are some of the directions to the state to perform for its citizens, for their well-being, to make India a welfare state. So, which part of the Constitution does it contain? Part 4. Then Article 36 to 51, right, deals with directive principles of state policy. Here we will not go details into this. Here we have to cover the points, the meaning, article, part, objective, and types. 5 points is over. And next we will go for, see, certain features. We have fundamental duties. Okay? This is another most important feature of Indian Constitution. Fundamental duties are the duties which the citizen has to perform towards the state. See, DPSP is the duties of state towards the citizen. Fundamental duties are the duties of the citizens towards the state. Reverse. It also included in Part 4 of the Constitution. Previously there were 10 fundamental duties, and now we have 11 fundamental duties. Under 85th Amendment Act, or you can say 21A article, education is made compulsory for the children below 14 years. Right? After attaching this, there are now 11 fundamental duties for the citizens of India, such as respect to national flag and anthem, protection of environment, protection of cultural heritages, okay, protection of wildlife, and cooperate the government for the development of Indian society, culture, science, etc. There are 10 points are there, one by one. Here we cannot elaborately discuss because it is not a long question on fundamental duties. Just you have to give a brief of this. Over. Next one thing, bicameral setup, legislature we can say, bicameral legislature is another important feature of Indian Constitution. You see, our legislature is bicameral. Actually, legislature is the law making body, you know this. Okay? So, we have bicameral legislature in the sense that we have two chambers, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Take our legislature is Parliament. Parliament is consists of two houses, Rajya Sabha the upper house, Lok Sabha the lower house. So, both the houses are there. So, it is called bicameral setup. Here why we made this? It is because India is a vast country. In order to reduce the work burden, we made it bicameral by nature. Okay? Over. Universal adult franchise, the next point. Universal adult franchise. In our constitution we mentioned this. It says that all the adults above 18 years has a right to vote, irrespective of their caste, color, creed, religion, sex, etc. Everybody above 18 years has a right to vote. That is called franchise. Universal because applied for all, adult because 18 years above, universal adult franchise over. This we have adopted, one man, one vote system to restore political liberty of the people, political freedom of the people. Okay? Acha. Okay. The first point you have to write about the preamble. Okay. Don't forget. I have told in my last video. In preamble you have to just mention that the meaning of preamble, an introduction of the constitution, and then the objectives of the preamble. What does it stands for? It describes the objective, philosophy, nature of our constitution and date of approval. And some key words that is there. We the people of India. Number one. India is a sovereign, social, secular and republic state. All these things you have to mention little. I have given the idea, the description of this in the preamble of Indian Constitution in the last video. You can see that, and from there some key words you have to drop it. First point you have to write the preamble, then you have to write the written and longest constitution, then you have to write the rigid and flexible constitution, then parliamentary form of government, then fundamental duties, fundamental rights, directive principles of state policy. 8 became now. Bicameral legislature, universal adult franchise, 10 points became now. Okay? So besides this we can say another feature, that is independence and integrated judiciary. Yeah. It became one of the feature of our constitution because we have the federal setup. There are chances of conflict between the union and the state government at any moment. So to settle them peacefully, we have made our judiciary independent and integrated. Integrated from lower to higher we have arranged. Independent means other organs of the government cannot influence the judiciary. Judiciary means the Supreme Court, High Court, courts. So this can be another point, another feature, important feature of Indian Constitution, right? So, and one more thing is there. It is federal in structure and unitary in spirit. So, mixture of unitary and federal features is another important, the 12th feature of Indian Constitution, that we adopted both the features. Therefore, Professor K.C. Ware said that India is a quasi-federal state because we have the combination of unitary features and federal features together. So you can also write this point on 12th number. So overall, I have given a brief note on the features of Indian Constitution. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching this video.